Singing birds, megalis, or even gold bars. Make yourself comfortable. Today, we're going to make you discover 10 shocking things found in airports. Kevin McKenzie is a 36-year-old Guyanese who wanted to make a nice pile of easy money last April. That's how he came up with the very bad idea of getting into the very lucrative but also very dangerous songbird business. Although it may seem absurd, a finch that wins a singing competition can sell for up to $10,000. So it was the lure of money that drove Kevin to embark on the perilous enterprise of smuggling 35 finches into the United States from Guyana. And since he didn't have 36 solutions, he put each of the unfortunate 35 little songbirds in a curler before sealing them with a net and hanging them on his ankles and inside his jacket. Unfortunately for this smuggling enthusiast, the moment he set foot on the US soil at New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport, and only a few hours separated him from his big score, he was raided by Border Patrol agents. This revealed the truth and led the young Guyanese directly to prison. Today he is on parole pending trial, and it must be said that the long incarceration that awaits him will give him ample time to reflect on his stupid act. Dubai. It's skyscrapers, it's sand dunes, it's artificial islands, and it's extravagant rich inhabitants who don't hesitate to show off their not very common pets on the net. But have you ever wondered how some rare species end up in the gardens of wealthy Dubai residents instead of living peacefully in reserves? It's only now that I'm telling you about it that you're finally asking that question. Well, better late than never, and I'm going to let you in on it at last. Smuggling. And it's not me saying it, it's Hassan Ibrahim, the senior inspection officer at Dubai Airport, who said that although he and his team are doing everything possible to counter the illegal animal trade by intercepting smugglers with tiny Asian monkeys, reptiles of all kinds, cheetahs, lion cubs, and very rare hawks, many smugglers are slipping through the net. Now that you know exactly how some endangered species become the pets of wealthy Dubaitis, you too are probably outraged. Unfortunately, as long as the very rich have the means to fulfill their wildest whims, the smuggling of endangered species will continue to flourish around the world, and there is nothing you or I can do about it. This man's name is Willy Gerand, a German national who spent most of his adult life in England. In 2010, at the age of 91, after suffering from Alzheimer's disease for several years and feeling that his time was coming, he told his wife Greta and his daughter-in-law Anke that he wanted to return to his hometown to spend his last days. This last wish, although quite ordinary, led Willy, Gita, and Anke to experience quite an adventure on April 6, 2010. An adventure that brought them all to court. This gave rise to two versions of this cursed day. According to the wife and daughter-in-law, that April morning was the big day when Willy had to return to Germany. So he had breakfast, and with the woman in his life, they left for Liverpool John Lennon Airport. Except that being tired while waiting to board the plane, Willy sat in a wheelchair, put on his sunglasses and took a nap. But according to the airport authorities, Willy had been dead for more than 24 hours of natural causes, and Gita and Anke wanted to avoid the considerable expenses and hassle of an official repatriation, so they had the stupid idea of making his corpse travel as if it were a living person. But no matter what the version of events, Willy's last wish was not fulfilled. He is and will always be the super stylish corpse in sunglasses who was arrested at John Lennon Airport. Now to the airport of Amsterdam Schiphol. In this airport, which is one of the largest in Europe, nothing shocks the customs officers anymore, who discover almost every day things that are as bizarre as they are unbelievable. Like on this day in October 2012, when Dutch customs officers were hoping for nothing more than to spend even one day without surprises. But that was without counting on this couple returning from Peru, who caused a general panic in the airport and did not fail to shock our seasoned customs officers. Indeed, once this couple disembarked at the airport of Amsterdam Schiphol, the customs officer noticed that he was carrying a suspicious suitcase. And as is the procedure, they decided to inspect it. An inspection that shattered the hopes of these airport agents to have a smooth day, because when they opened the case, 200 live tarantulas, grasshoppers, millipedes, and exotic beetles started to escape. And although our customs officers have seen a lot in their careers, seeing their airport turn into an exotic jungle infested with insects and arachnids of all kinds gave them a hard time before they got the situation under control. After this trying day and this more than astonishing find, what is sure is that nothing is close to surprise or to terrify the customs officers of Amsterdam. Traveling by plane with any kind of weapons is strictly forbidden. Everyone knows that, but as always, there are exceptions everywhere, like this traveler who probably thought that he could take a plane without worrying while carrying this stun lipstick and these 3 bullets. So he showed up at Bradley Airport in New England and tried to board the plane, thinking that the lipstick-like holster on his gun would fool the Transportation Security Administration. But his tasteless trick didn't make it through the security checkpoints, and instead of boarding his plane with impunity, he was confronted by the authorities, who confiscated his taser lipstick and caused him to miss his flight. Whether he was misinformed about what he could carry on the plane, or whether he wanted to use deception to pass off his weapon disguised as the lipstick, what is certain is that now, after spending a few hours with customs officials, he knows the airport rules inside and out. Now here's a mind-boggling discovery that was made in London Heathrow Airport, except that this time it was not the customs officers who were surprised by this find, but rather the travelers, like the Brownholtz family who, after having spent an unforgettable vacation in Cyprus, now just wanted to go home and rest after a flight home that lasted several hours. But like all other passengers, they had to collect their luggage first, before they could finally go home. And that's when the Brownholtzes found themselves in front of this hallucinating scene where no suitcase or bag passed on the conveyor belt, and instead it was crates and crates of frozen fish that paraded before their disconcerted eyes. It is thus after several hours of waiting that finally British Airways gathers all the passengers to explain them that there was a mistake, and that instead of embarking in the same plane, the passengers and their luggage, a mistake occurred, and it is thus hundreds of boxes of sea bream and sea bass which were transported. A news that left the Brownholtzes perplexed, and they had to return home without their clothes and without the beautiful souvenirs they brought back from Cyprus. And it was only after spending a few days in anger because of this unfortunate incident that they were finally able to get their belongings back. All in all, there's more fear than harm, and with this very strange and unexpected incident, the Brownholtzes will probably never forget their vacation in Cyprus. Now it's the turn of this man whose name has not been disclosed, who works in the Incheon airport in the outskirts of Seoul in South Korea. Although he is honest and hardworking, his job as a cleaner does not allow him to make ends meet. But that does not stop him from hoping that a miracle will happen one day. A miracle that will soon happen and make our surface cleaner a rich man. Very rich. Indeed, on April 26, 2018, while emptying the airport trash, the cleaning agent made an incredible discovery. He found 7 gold bars wrapped in newspaper worth 350 million won, or about 250,000 euros, thrown away as trash. A real miracle. But honest as he is, and although he was in need, instead of keeping the load, he informed the authorities of his find. And even though he was sad to part with gold bars that could have transformed his life, he was above all proud to be an exemplary citizen and employee. But all was not lost for the honest housekeeper who did not give in to temptation. And thanks to the Korean lost and found law, if no one claimed the bullion, it would rightfully go to the finder, and even if the owner came forward, the cleaner could keep 5 to 20% of the loot. This corresponds to a sum of between 15,000 and 50,000 euros. A nice, well-deserved fortune for this exemplary man. You probably know the cult film by Samuel L. Jackson, Snakes on a Plane, the movie in which a horde of snakes terrorizes the passengers of a plane in full flight. What you may not know is that snakes on a plane almost took place in real life. Now you certainly want to know more about this incident. Well, let's go to Newark Liberty International Airport. It was at this suburban New York airport that a little girl was terrorized when she saw this over 35 centimeters long garter snake quietly crawling next to the airport security station. According to the authorities who intervened quickly, this harmless snake was probably a pet left behind by a passenger. But even if it was harmless, you have to agree that a snake wandering in an airport is shocking and especially very scary, even for you who were not there. However, you have to look on the bright side. Fortunately, this snake did not get loose in the middle of a flight. Otherwise, this harmless incident could have caused serious consequences, like in the Samuel L. Jackson movie. Now, here's one of the most shocking finds made in an airport. With this catchy statement, you certainly can't wait for me to tell you more. But I must warn you, sensitive souls, please don't. The images I am about to show you may shock you a lot. No, you're not dreaming. It is indeed a little boy of hardly 8 years old who made the trip from Ivory Coast to Spain in this suitcase to join his family. A discovery that has outraged the Spanish airport authorities and that has probably broken your heart. Let's hope that the influential personalities of this world also see these images and do their best to ensure that such scenes never happen again. Now look at what authorities at Boston's Logan Airport discovered in a woman's purse during a security check last October. But what is a woman doing with a bomb in an airport? Contrary to what you may think, this find has nothing to do with an attack. This grenade is only a paperweight, but you can imagine the terror of the authorities when they saw this terrifying and unusual object in their airport. Unfortunately, no one can guess what went through this lady's mind when she wanted to fly with this replica grenade. I guess human stupidity will never cease to amaze us. These were 10 shocking things found in airports. Tell us in the comments which one surprised you the most. And if you like this video, don't forget to put a like, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell to receive all the notifications and not miss anything of our next contents.